I have to admit, I underestimated that sword of yours. Good job, Clyde remarked as he recovered from the attack. Despite bleeding profusely, he barely winced or showed any sign of panic. What kind of opponent was this? Are you all right? Kevin didn't deny what Clyde said. Instead, he took the initiative to check on Clyde's condition. After all, this was just a competition, and he didn't want to kill him. Perhaps you should pay attention to yourself. It seems like you don't have the strength to keep using your sword for long, and I don't have much time left to waste with you. Clyde's face suddenly turned serious. He took a deep breath and took a fighting stance. The clothes on his upper body had been torn apart, revealing his strong muscles. This drew the screams of many women watching. If you want to fight, then let's continue. But before we do, I just have one request. Can you put on a new shirt? My wife is watching. Kevin teased Clyde as he tried to buy as much time as possible to recover. Shut up. I better teach you a lesson for not taking me seriously. Clyde fumed with anger when he heard that. He then jumped up into the air with enormous force, hurtling towards Kevin with immense speed. Kevin had underestimated Clyde's speed and was caught off guard. He could only raise the night sword in defense, but it was too late. With just one punch to his stomach, he was sent flying more than 10 yards away. As he lay on the ground, Kevin spat out a mouthful of blood. He felt that his internal organs were still trembling from the impact. Kevin, didn't I tell you that I'd teach you a lesson? Now it's time to shut that mouth of yours while I knock you out. Clyde jumped up high again and raised his fist as he aimed for Kevin's head. Still struggling to get up, Kevin didn't have the time to resist and just rolled to the side instead, barely dodging Clyde's attack. As this went on for a while, all of the students watched Kevin rolling on the ground again and again to avoid getting hit by Clyde's punches, and this made them laugh so hard that their faces were about to cramp up from the joy of seeing him suffer. Mike, look at how that useless son-in-law is rolling around on the ground like a puppy. He's really a disgrace to our class, Lionel shouted as he pointed at Kevin. I think he knows that he's overestimated his own abilities and that he's clearly no match for Clyde. He'll probably start begging for mercy any second now. Had Professor Murdoch asked me to fight earlier, even though I wouldn't have won first place, I wouldn't have done such an embarrassing thing, Mike said with a look of disdain on his face. Professor Murdoch must have been fooled by Kevin. I hope Clyde can finish the job and beat that. It's time to get rid of that stain from our healing arts school, Luther sneered. Other than Dalton and Penny, everyone else in Kevin's class felt that he was just embarrassing himself at this point. Moreover, they were mad at him for humiliating his entire class in front of so many top leaders and students from other schools. By now, the entire arena had been battered by Clyde's strikes. As another one of Clyde's heavy punches landed on the ground, Kevin's entire body was covered in a layer of dust. Do you finally understand who you're up against? In the face of my absolute strength, anything you do is futile, so you better give up now while you still can. Clyde twisted his neck and cracked his knuckles. You haven't won yet, so why are you already talking like you did? This battle isn't over just yet. Kevin stabbed the night sword into the ground and used it to support his body as he stood back up. Do you think you can hurt me in the slightest? This gash that you gave me earlier was barely an inconvenience. Clyde looked at Kevin as he taunted him. Why don't I just stand where I am and let you strike me again with that sword of yours? Hit me with your best shot. Are you sure about that? If you say so. Kevin then took out 2 pills from his pocket and popped them in his mouth, allowing him to recover his strength and speed in no time. Clyde didn't answer Kevin's question, he just threw his head back in laughter. He had seen Clarissa taking a pill out of desperation during her battle with Kevin, so he believed that Kevin was doing the same thing and would soon be on the verge of defeat as well. Just then, Kevin suddenly changed his strategy and switched weapons as he placed the night sword on his back and retrieved the Night Dagger from his pocket. He then started sprinting towards Clyde. "What is that useless son-in-law thinking, switching for a much smaller and weaker weapon? He must have been beaten so badly that he can't think straight anymore," Mike scoffed. "Why doesn't he just beg for his life and surrender? Maybe he really does have a death wish," Lionel remarked. "You're right. Plus, he even took some pills just now, but for what? Does that think that he can still win? With Clyde's strength and physique, it's impossible to break through his defense, with or without the help of those pills. He's practically immune to any form of pain," Luther added. Meanwhile, the leaders from the top 10 organizations had also been discussing Kevin's actions. However, unlike the crowd, they were actually praising him. "Looks like Kevin has really smart instincts. That was some quick thinking." Harley Shepard clapped his hands happily. "The 2 herbal pills he just took should help Kevin rapidly recover his strength and heal his injuries. If I'm right, it's very likely that he took Supreme pills, whose ingredient list had been lost from our official records for many years." Nadia Alexander's eyes were filled with mixed emotions. Didn't she want to kill him just earlier? In fact, Nadia still had about half a sentence that she didn't dare to say out loud. If those pills were indeed refined by him, Kevin is indeed worthy of being recognized as the herbalism genius that our leader wants to recruit. Compared to Harley and Nadia, Wayne Ford's words were much more succinct. "Now that's a winning strategy." Renee Silver and the other school leaders looked at each other and saw some doubt and uncertainty in each other's eyes. Although they could see that Kevin had found a way to stay alive by taking some Supreme pills, they didn't know exactly what he was planning to do. Why did he opt to change his weapon back to the Night Dagger? And what strategy was Wayne talking about? Could he really pull off a win? Jeffrey Bowie was especially bothered by this. The Southeast School for Natural Medicine had always prided themselves on their intensive strength training program. On top of that, Clyde had mastered the iron wall technique, so no matter how sharp the sword or dagger in Kevin's hand was, it couldn't break through his student's defense. If that was the case, then why was Wayne so sure that Kevin could win? Back in the arena, Kevin had just used the Night Dagger to attack Clyde. "Are you just tickling me again, you p-" The disdain in Clyde's eyes intensified. Kevin's dagger strike had given him the feeling of a slight itch. Initially, Clyde thought that Kevin was qualified to be his opponent. However, over the course of their battle, it seemed that Kevin only relied on the bladed weapon in his hand. Was this the same Kevin that had deliberately chosen to spare his opponent's life during the first round? Clyde was beginning to think that Kevin was just a one-hit wonder, or worse, a fluke without any real talent. Convinced that Kevin wasn't on the same level as him, Clyde even started to look down on him and feel sorry for him. Thinking that Kevin didn't have much fight left in him, Clyde simply shrugged. "I can see that you're really trying your best to keep fighting, so I'll be nice. Like I said earlier, I'll just stand here and let you attack me as much as you want with your dagger. I'll only make my final move after you've used up all your strength. That way you can lose with some dignity, knowing that you've given it your all." However, Kevin revealed a playful smile when he heard this. As he continuously struck Clyde's body with the Night Dagger, he was feeling more powerful and quicker than ever. Maybe he still had a chance to win.
Please subscribe to the Pocket FM YouTube channel and press the bell icon for instant notification. Check out our channel for more such exciting shows.